This is Dystopian Fiction, Lesson 7, Scene Structure. If we were writing a novel or a longer story, we would use a structure similar to the one in front of you, Freytag's Pyramid. So a conventional story structure has some inciting incident at the beginning for a character or characters. We get to learn about the place that they're in and information about the characters in the exposition. There's rising action, whereby the characters are trying to, or characters trying to solve problems and overcome obstacles. There's usually a climax, and then, which is a kind of turning point for the main character, then falling action leading to a resolution, the sort of end of the story, and the denouement where all the ends are tied up. That's a structure to use for a longer story, but we're not really focusing on that. We're focusing on writing a scene for our dystopia. So in a novel, you might have, say, a 300-page novel. You might have 300-page novel. You might have, say, 20 chapters, 15 pages each, and within that you might have 2 or 3 scenes. So we're looking at scenes. We're breaking it down to that sort of that building block of a scene. Okay, so a scene has 3 parts to it, so it's a lot simpler than looking at Freytag's Pyramid. Although it does share something in common, but it really has 3 parts. Okay, you usually have a character or characters with a goal, something they want to achieve, but there are obstacles in the way, and the character has to overcome those obstacles in order to reach their goal. Now, it's important for a character to have obstacles, otherwise readers get bored. So that's part of what readers enjoy when they're reading. They like to see characters overcoming obstacles and solving problems. And then at the end of the scene, there'll be some sort of change. Maybe they've reached that particular goal, but a new problem has appeared for them, which will lead into the next scene of the story. Another way of looking at it is in terms of the 3 words and, but, and therefore. So if we have a look at the next image, so here we have a soldier who is climbing a mountain, okay, and his goal is to reach a cave. And the reason for reaching that cave is he's being pursued by the enemy, and in the cave, which is kind of quite secret, something that only he really and his soldiers know about, it will enable him to travel through some tunnels, and they'll reach the safety of a valley on the other side of the mountains. So that's his goal. Okay, so that's his goal. And we could say, and the soldier wants to reach the cave. But the obstacles, so that's where the but comes in, but the obstacles are that he's being shot at, and it makes him have difficulty concentrating. Perhaps he'll become injured. Maybe the rocks are slippery. Perhaps he's not entirely sure where he's going. Maybe he gets tired. Perhaps there's a mist which prevents him from seeing where he's going. So the character's obstacles can be sort of, quite numerous like that. And that's the but part. So, and the character and the soldier wants to reach the cave, but he's got all those obstacles to solve. And the change at the end is because of the mist, he gets to the top of the mountain by mistake and he's missed the cave, and he now can't go back. And so the change is that he's now in even more difficult situation. How can he get off this mountainside when he's being pursued by these soldiers, and he's not really sure where his base is? So he's kind of got another problem to solve, and that's the therefore. So just to repeat that again, and the soldier wants to reach the cave, but he gets shot at, there was a mist, etc. Therefore, he doesn't reach the cave and ends up on the mountainside. Okay, so you can see the 3-part structure of goal, obstacles, and change in terms of the 3 words and, but, and therefore. take a look at the scene from Harry Potter that a link has been put on here. We'll put a link on the Google Classroom to make sure you can access it. But as you watch it, write down or note down the 3 scene parts. What are the characters trying to achieve? What's their goal? If you're not familiar with the Harry Potter stories, just sort of what do you think they're trying to do? Where are they trying to get to? What obstacles are there? What problems could or might get in their way? And what kind of change happens at the end? So just watch the scene. It's about 4 minutes long. Write those 3 things down, and then some suggestions of what you might have put down will be noted in the next section of this video. Here we are. So the goal of the 3 characters was to get into the underground of the school because they're in pursuit of the Philosopher's Stone. The obstacles, there's a 3-headed dog, it's heavy, and it's lying across the trapdoor. They have their own fear, they've got to deal with their own fear, haven't they? They've got to hope that the enchanted harp will continue to keep playing because it's what's keeping the dog in a spell at the minute. They might get caught, somebody might come in. One of them might not be able to continue. Perhaps somebody will lose their nerve and decide they want to go back, or will make a noise and wake the dog. Then once they get past the dog, they come across another problem, don't they, with the devil's snare. Hermione remembers that if you relax, you'll be able to get through the devil's snare, but an obstacle arises in that Ron is not able to relax. Okay, when they all eventually do get into the underground chambers, passages of the school, then the question is what else might they have to deal with? If these 2 obstacles have already been put in their way, and they were pretty difficult, how difficult are these obstacles going to get? Do they need to be better organised? Do they need to maybe split up? Or, will Ron be brave enough? Ron seems to panic and lose his nerve a bit. Is Ron going to be able to cope? So that there's been a change in their situation, isn't there? They're not quite in the same condition they were when they started. Or they might feel really confident having solved the 2 problems of getting past the dog and the devil's snare, and it might be the case that they actually feel emboldened and think, right, we can go anywhere now, apart from Ron. We'd like you to create some scene outlines of your own using the 3-part structure of character goal, obstacles and change. Coming up are 4 images. We'd like you to choose 2 of them and write a 3-part scene outline. It would literally be, a character goal, you might write that in a sentence. Obstacles could be a list of 2 or 3 items, and then a sentence at the end, or a sentence or 2 to explain the change in the character or character circumstances as a result of overcoming those obstacles. So it doesn't need to be very long, but choose 2 of the scenes out of the 4. You can do them all if you feel like it, and maybe choose the best ones. They shouldn't take too long to do. But if you look at on each image a few prompts and ideas and thoughts about how you might relate to that particular image are mentioned. On this part of the video, here's some suggestions about how you could approach, or some prompts to enable you to approach coming up with some character goals. Okay, I won't go through them. Hopefully they're self-explanatory. But goals don't have to be things that you can physically achieve, like getting to the top of a mountain. A goal can be, it could be to, let's have a think, maybe you want to get somebody to go out with you, and you want to, so your goal is for that person to go out on a date with you or something. But the obstacles could be, maybe there's a rival, maybe she doesn't really like you, or she doesn't realise she likes you, and you've got to convince her that she likes you, or whatever. But the point is, a goal doesn't have to be always a specific physical goal. Also, it could be maybe you've got maybe you have you're in a football trial or something like that, and your goal is to be noticed by the scouts that are watching. But the obstacles, you have rivals, you have maybe your own nerves and stress. Maybe you're being played in the wrong position. So there are all sorts of different ways of looking at character goals, and hopefully the 5 points on here will give you some ideas. Here we have dystopian story scenario number 1 called the glitch. So you have an image and you have some keywords that we'd like you to try and take account of in your 3-part scene structure plan. So computer and cyber war. So what what might a character? Can you try and imagine a scene from this type of story? What might a character want to achieve? Can you think of something, a particular moment that they might want to do something? All right, and then can you think of some things that might get in the way, and what situation will they be in at the end, and how might this lead to another problem? Do the same thing for this examination day scenario. You have three prompt words to try and think about to give you some further ideas, to try and use them in your plan. Again, think of a character, what might their goal be, what obstacles might get in the way, and what sort of change might there be at the end. So we have an examination day here, but think about it from the perspective of a dystopia. What kind of dystopian world are we in here? What sort of examination might this be? Is it a normal examination? What happens if students get things wrong? Okay, so think about this in terms of a dystopia. In this scenario, the hunted have 3 words that we'd like to think about to help stimulate some ideas: colourless, survival, and torch. Okay, now this scene might lend itself quite easily, the image here, to a scene. The image might lend itself to a scene. So you've got an individual in a lonely, misty place. They look quite. There's something wrong with them, isn't there? It could be tiredness. It might be stress. Who knows what it is? It might be injured. All right, but that leads you. Again, why are they there? Where are they going? So what's their goal? Do you think? Think about this in terms of a dystopia. What's going to get in their way? 4 obstacles, remember, and how might they have changed at the end? But can the change lead into another story? Sorry, not into another story, into another problem for them to solve. And finally, we have here another scenario. In the name of survival is your title. You have 3 prompt words: fitness, electricity, and doomed. Can you, again, imagine yourself in a dystopia, apply the 3-part scene structure to this scenario? Can you imagine a character, what problems might they have to deal with? What is their problem? What are they aiming to achieve? What obstacles might get in their way? And what change might exist at the end? Now, although this looks like a big world, think about it in terms of, a scene will be in a specific place, won't it? So it might be on a mountainside, it might be in a house, it might be in a street, it might be in the countryside. They've got to get from one place to another. They've got to achieve something, or they've got to obtain something. Maybe they have to steal something, which is going to be, I don't know, important to their survival. So think about what they might need to do, what could stop them, what might get in the way, and where might they be at the end of it. So just to sum up what we've been looking at today, we've been looking at the idea of structuring stories around scenes rather than complete story pyramids or story mountains. And the argument that was put to you was that a novel, you might structure a novel or a longer story in terms of an exposition, rising action, a climax, those typical story pyramids or story mountains, but that in a scene you really just have well, that's a not big novel is divided into chapters, which is divided into scenes, and we're looking at scenes. And a chapter might contain 3 or 4 scenes, depends, and we're looking at how to write a scene. But in order to write a scene, we've got to know how a scene works, so we're looking at the way a scene is structured. And a scene is structured around 3 parts. A character or characters have a goal or aim, something they want to achieve or need to obtain or gain. But there are problems in the way, obstacles that stop them, that might stop them from achieving or make it difficult to achieve it. If everything was easy to achieve in a story, readers just wouldn't be interested in it. Readers like to see characters solving problems and overcoming obstacles. And then at the end of it, what kind of situation are they now in? They've solved their obstacles in the scene, but as a result of it, they've got to a place where they now have more obstacles. What kind of change condition are they in? Okay, we looked at some examples. We looked at the army soldier, the mountain climbing soldier example. We looked at a scene from Harry Potter, and then you've planned some outlines for 4 dystopian scenes based on the 4 images that you were given previously. Okay? All right, thank you.